Okay, good. So 30-day sprint. We're pretty much, what are we now? It is the 13th of March. We've got just under 30 days before our next intensive. Can you believe it? Whoa, where's that gone? What do we do in the last 30 days up and coming to the next intensive is that we have a sprint. And this sprint enables us to get refocused on what we've set on our previous 90-day, is to reassess on what our KPIs have they been on track? Are they working? What do we need to change if they're not working? And what are our key projects? What are some of the key projects that we've been working on to really fast track that? So this 30 days is it's about laser focus. It's really the ability to get those plans out, have a assess, reassess, and then relaunch, and let's fast track to bring it home over the next 30 days. So what I want to hear from you guys, if you want to just type away in the little box, are you on track? If you were to rate yourself from 0 to 100, now we're in month 2 of the 3 months, are you on track? If you look at your 90-day plans, and if you look at your KPIs, and if you look at your projects, as a percentage, are you on track 100%, 90%, 60%, 30%? All right. So to where you need to be by month 2, not by month 3, but by month 2. All right. What's the percentage by month 2? Okay, cool. So around 50, 60%. All right. So what we could do in this last month is actually go to 110%. And it comes down to focus. Because what happens that we spin so many plates is like we go, oh, well, now we need to go over here. Oh, now we need to go over here. What we need to do is to have that clear focus. And how do we have that clear focus? Is to have it in front of us on a day-to-day basis. So where is your 90-day plan living? Do you read it every day? Do you assess it every week? Do you go through and review it on your KPIs? Are you tracking it and you monitoring your KPIs on a weekly basis? Are you making sure through every week that you're actually ticking off what you need to be doing? So what I'm going to get you to do is to get a nice, so what I get you to do is to get out a fresh piece of paper, and what I get you to do is to draw a nice wheel. All right, just draw a nice wheel. I'm on my phone because of some tech issues, so I can't actually draw it at the moment. Let's see if I can draw it. Let's see if I can draw it. No. Anyway, so what I want you to do is I want you to imagine a nice wheel, and we're going to do the category focus. So I want you to draw the wheel and break the wheel up into the different spots. And what I'd like for you to do is on each of the spokes of the wheel, I want you to write KPI 1, KPI 2, KPI 3, project 1, project 2, project 3. So you should have 8 spokes, and then you've got 2 left over. So your 3 KPIs and your 3 projects, okay? And then your remaining 2. What I'd like to do here, it might be a personal category that you're being focusing on, maybe health and fitness or relationships or meditating, whatever it is for you. And then it could be another business category that you've also been focusing on that you didn't think about at the time in relations to your 90 days when you're doing your plan. So what I'm going to get you to do is to draw the wheel, draw the different spokes, the different categories, and I want you to then rate it out of 10 on how, if you to review where you are right now in relation to completion. You said you're at 50 to 60% overall, but I want you to now rate where each of those different ones are. You're in month 2 as of this week, all right? And I want you to rate from in the middle of the wheel is 0, and at the end of the wheel is 10, all right? So if you're a 10 out of 10, put a little cross. If you're a 0, put a little cross. If you're 1 or whatever it is out of 10, just rate each of those different spokes, each of those different categories, each of those different KPIs, projects out of 10. I'm going to give you a couple of minutes to do that for me. Oh, beautiful. Okay, so I'm going to that one. Beautiful. All right, cool. So there should be able to hear me now. All right, good stuff. Cool. All right, lovely. Good. So once again, once you've done the categories, fantastic. You guys have done that. What we're going to get you to do is, if you're on so what I want you to take a photo and send it to me. What I want you to do now is looking at, okay, cool. What I want you to do now is look at what's been, I guess, the number one thing that's been holding you back. What's been the number one thing holding you back? So why are you at where you're at? Why are you at 50? Why are you at 60%? Why are you at that percentage? So why do you feel that you're at that? What's the number one thing holding you back from what's the number one thing holding you back? Let me know. Type away, type away. What's the number one thing holding you back, do you feel right now? Cool. Okay. So if you were to give yourself your own advice, what advice or strategy would you give yourself to overcome this? What advice or strategy would you give yourself to overcome this? Yeah. What advice or strategy would you give yourself to overcome this? Because the good thing is that you guys know the answer, because we're always good at giving answers to others. Sometimes we need to have a look at that mirror and we go, how is that playing out in our own lives? All right, how is that playing out in our own lives? And with that, you can then detach yourself from where you're at right now, detach yourself from that current situation, and coming from a bird's eye view. So if you, and people go, well, I don't know the answer. Well, I'm not sure. Okay, cool. So if you ask yourself, but if you did know, let's entertain that for an idea. If you did know the answer, what could it be? Right? And people play this game. Well, I don't know. I don't know. I don't know. Yet, totally, I understand that you don't know. But if you did know, what could it be? And you'll notice what happens is you'll get an answer. Boom! It'll come to you straight away. And if you look at now your answer, what I'm hearing and what I'm reading is, let's have a look, is the priorities. It's looking at it on a weekly, daily. It's looking at a review daily and ask what is working and could it be improved and keep on moving forward. So now you know the answer, right? So majority of times it's the shiny ball syndrome, or it's not front of mind, right? Which is, they're closely related anyway. You overcome the shiny ball syndrome by having it front of mind and having that as the focus, right? And making it fun, then you'll get through things a lot quicker. By having that activity as the first thing that you need to do every single day, getting it done, getting it dusted, will allow you to free yourself up and go, wow, what else could I achieve? So now that you know that answer, now you know the advice and the strategy, how are you going to implement it? What's now you know the answer, how are you going to implement it? What's something that you're going to do to ensure you implement it? What are you going to do to ensure that you're going to implement it? Perfect. Get it up on the desk at work. Yes, exactly. Excellent. So what are you going to do to ensure that you get it done? How are you going to implement that strategy? Thank you. How are you going to implement that strategy? Yeah, perfect. Goals on my wall and send pic through it today. Evening review and morning check-in to ensure that a lesson is learnt and change is implemented. Love it. Love it, love it, love it. So once again, it's having this front of mind, having it front of mind. And now that you know that, what is your key outcome for this month? This week. Let's just go weekly because we're doing this every single week. What is your key outcome of each KPI, each project for this week? I want you to spend a couple of minutes just writing down on a piece of paper. What's the key outcome? What's the key outcome for your KPIs and your projects, your personal and the other business category for this week? What's your key outcomes? Not tasks, not to-do lists, but outcomes. All right, because when we start to think, I'll explain that, when we start to think outcomes, what can happen is that we can actually either delegate a lot of those tasks, or some of those tasks may not be as important as some of the tasks that we need to do to achieve that outcome. When we start to think outcome focused and outcome based thinking, things start happening and start to line up so much quicker and so much easier. It's phenomenal. What is your key outcome this week? Cool. Let me know when you've done that. Key outcomes for each KPI and projects. The question I'm going to ask you is now, what would hold you back? Now that you know the information that you know, what would hold you back from achieving that? Beautiful. Love it, Scotty. Nothing, locked it in the diary. Beautiful. Good. Yes. No more distractions, no more shiny balls. Let's ramp up this next week. Let's just chunk this last 30 days into weekly biteable components, because yeah, there may be a lot to achieve over the next 30 days. Totally cool. But once again, if we reverse engineer it from week to day, it starts to take the overwhelm and like, oh my goodness, how am I going to achieve it all, into bite-sized pieces. All right. So what I want to do is to find out from you guys what's been from that little process that we've done. And this is great that you can actually do with your teams as well. It's just question-based leadership, right? And it's putting it back, this process is putting it back onto you, but you can also then put it back onto the teams. Guys, why aren't you achieving your KPIs? What's the number one thing that holding you back? If you do know the advice or the strategy you'd give it to you, what would it be? Now, okay, great. How would you implement that? Fantastic. Then, what are your key outcomes for this week? What would you hold back to achieving that? And so therefore, they're taking ownership and full accountability for their own outcomes and their own goals and their own action. So it's a cool little process to engage and enroll your teams to make sure that actually moving forward and hitting your own targets, what they need to be doing. So, Danny, what I'm going to get for you is what's been the number one thing that you've taken away from this morning?
Oh, good morning. Can you hear me?
Loud and clear.
Yep.
Good morning.
Number one thing is I'm in charge. Yeah.
Love it.
I love the questions. I really do.
Cool.
Yeah.
Good. Excellent. And you are in charge because it's your goals, it's your KPIs, it's your projects, and it's about owning that and go, you know what? No, putting that stake in the sand and going, let's rock and roll. This is where we're going. This is what we're doing. So nice work. Well done.
Thank you.
Cool. And Scotty, let's unmute you. Good stuff. Number one thing from you this morning. You there, Scotty? Scotty? Cool. All right, no worries. We'll come back to you. I don't have my totally cool. All right, sweet as. Beautiful. So there we go, guys. So there's the focus for this week. Once again, with our 30-day challenge, we've got our next intensive coming up on Tuesday, Wednesday, the 10th and the 11th of April. So make sure that is in your diaries down at Coogee Surf Club. We'll be sending out all the registration details over the next week or so. So make sure that you've got all that details in the diary. What we're going through some incredible topics that we'll be covering, but I'm going to share with you next week. So we're just fine tuning our workbooks and all that kind of stuff. So I'll let the cat out of the bag next week. So there we go, guys. Have a wonderful day. Looking forward to catching up with you all next Tuesday. Same time, same bat channel. Any questions in the meantime, please let me know and look forward to speaking to you soon. Thanks, guys. Have a wonderful day.